Well, welcome everyone to episode 40.
Kira's age.
40. This is not my age.
No, but it will be my age in 4 years' time, though.
Wow.
Oh, no. But yeah, episode 40. Wow, so you've been doing this for quite a while.
Beginning of lockdown.
Yeah.
How have you found it since you started? The whole process?
It's very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Talking to many different drummers and getting their perspective into drumming education and getting to know them, their journey to become a professional and everything. And lots of laughs.
Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. Well, if there's one thing that I'm into, it is the laughs. I think everyone takes things too seriously, don't they? And I think to just laugh is the best. You know, it's such a cliche, but it really is just the best medicine. It's such a cliche, but cliches exist for a reason.
Exactly.
For a reason. Yeah.
Just saying.
Exactly. So everyone, this is STU FAGAN we have with us today. Otherwise known as, on Instagram, Beyond the Beat. And there's a number there.
There's a number there, and everyone goes, why? Why is this Beyond the Beat 17? I started the page in 2017.
Oh, okay.
That was it, yeah.
Very good explanation.
I've followed you for a while, and it's so great to see like just how you've progressed, how your account is just kind of blown up. It's great and it's lovely. So I really want to talk about all of that. But I know you're passionate about teaching. And so we always ask about drum education. And I want to know if you think there's anything missing from drum education to just open up the conversation a bit.
I actually think, I don't know how popular an opinion this is, but we're
gonna find out.
We're gonna find out. Oh my God! Right. So basically, I personally, I don't think there is anything missing. In fact, I strongly believe, quite the contrary, that there is far too much of everything. Because you can break all of these different channels of learning and resources down, and some of them suit certain people, some of them don't. And so, because everyone in this hyper consumerized modern society that we live in, everyone's trying to sell you something or do something or get your attention, no matter what, no matter where you are, even drumming aside. I think that everything is geared around getting your attention or getting your money or getting you to do something and having the spotlight in a certain direction. And because of that, I think that naturally when people start to, let's say there was a time when subscription services weren't a thing, but way before that, traditional tuition was a thing. And then it was like the internet takes off and then people capitalize on the new movements and whatnot. So even back when the internet started, before even social media, you had MSN Messenger and everything like that. So everything grows, and I think with it, people try to there's a great sense of community in loads of different fields of expertise, of course, but there's also competition within it, and so people try to speed up. I think they try to speed up. They try and get ahead. I think people try and get ahead. And so there are so many people that you've got streaming services. You've got now you've got Zoom masterclasses. You've got regular tuition. You've got lesson content that you can buy. You've got free lesson content on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook and everywhere else. I think quite the contrary. I think there's far too much of everything, even to the point where there's that much of everything that it almost creates an illusion that there's not enough and that there could be more, because we get stuck. We don't know what to look for because it's so saturated. We get lost, and I think because you get so overwhelmed and inundated with information, you don't know what the right information is to pick. But because there's so much of it, it becomes difficult to find the specific thing that you need because there are so many little variants on that thing. So I think there are some incredible services that are available for different learning styles and people's individual what can I say, not like desires, but, you know, people want to learn different things in different ways for different reasons, and not everyone wants the big pop gig. People want to just sit in the room and play the drums sometimes, and some people do it for like meditation, some people do it to just jam with the mates, some people do it for social media and so on. And I think it's great that all those things are out there, but I think it becomes really murky when we actually start thinking about education, because you then enter into a conversation about like, what is education, like what is real education, because you get some people, take my page for example, the little things that I post that are like that are like throwaway little fills with sticking patterns that you can utilize in so many more ways than just that little fill. Like, people, I get a lot of stick for that from a lot of people, for example, because they think that's not a real style of teaching, because you're not teaching, it's rote, you're just showing someone and whatnot, and that's not the best way for someone to improve in terms of longevity anyway. But there are people that like it, there are people that want it, so there's an avenue for everyone's tastes, and then obviously people get onto that, and then they start doing more of it, and it just keeps growing, becomes difficult to find. So I think there's so many there are so many things out there. It becomes, I think the best thing to say is it creates an illusion that there's not enough, because we struggle to find what we want.
And does that interfere with your students, like creating problems for you to teach, because there's so much of everything, and that creates confusion because your students come, oh, I've seen this, I've seen that. And
that's actually a really, really good point and a really good question. And I think that there would be so many of my students that would, for example, it would impact on if they didn't have a teacher who can help them to separate those things. So, like, I can say to them, all right, you come on, you've brought this like blazing video in, and you want me to like teach you the cool stuff that's in this video. But then I would try to help them to understand that whilst it's a good idea and have fun to learn that, there are underlying principles that make up that thing. And so I always try to teach my students to think for themselves and to read between the lines, and that's something that's really difficult to do in a little 20-second video where you're not using your voice. But I've not found, Felipe, so far that it's caused a problem for my I call them my real students, because we have a relationship, and I'm in a position that's whereby I'm fortunate enough to be able to explain that to them so that they don't get confused between them. And I think that's increasingly more important in this like hyper society that we live in. But that's a really, really, really good question, actually. I've not noticed it yet, but you definitely do have your students that come in and say, I want to play this and I want to play that, and of course I'll show them whatever they want to learn, because like we said before, they want to learn things for different reasons, and there's no right or wrong. It's an art form, it's expression, and everyone takes everything too seriously anyway, so we should, you know what I mean? But I would never be irresponsible enough to not make the effort to explain to them that whilst it might be a cool idea, maybe that approach wouldn't be the best way for you to increase, to progress at the fastest rate. But that's cool, because not everyone wants to progress, you know? Some people just want to. I've taught people. I worked at a music school for about 13 years before I started doing what I'm doing on my own now at home. And there were people at that music school there were students at that music school, 60, 70 odd years old, and I actually took over those students from a previous teacher that left the music school. And for the whole duration of the 13 years that I was there was a handful of older students that didn't care about progressing. So they were quite happy to just sit down and do the same thing. And I did not see any progress in 13 years. They didn't want to progress, though. That was the point. They were quite happy just sitting down and just doing what they wanted. So there's definitely a place for it. Definitely a place for it.
I had two students that they used to do lessons together. They were doctors, and clearly it was a moment for them to relax, because they had lessons with me for 3 years, and they
Yeah.
never practice one single second. But they would come every week and have fun. And then,
Absolutely.
and I was always trying to bring new stuff for them to keep entertained. And one point I brought some jazz independence. They really struggled. And then the following week they came for the lesson and said, we decided we don't like jazz, so we can stop with that.
Yeah. And that's it, you know, and that's it. I agree, and I completely understand that. I completely understand that. And I bet you found that once you said to them, okay, that's okay,
Yeah.
we don't have to do this kind of stuff. I bet they were oh, fantastic. So we can continue to enjoy our drum lessons and not feel like there's this immense pressure on us to perform. Because I think that's like something that a lot of teachers tend to, from my observations anyway, I found that, because I like to observe other teachers, because I want to know where I fit in and how what I do either helps or doesn't help someone. So that, of course, you know, just as much as I could improve on my instrument, I want to improve as a teacher as well. And so I think it's really important to like let people learn what they want like that, because the fun and that escapism is really what it is for some people.
So I want to talk more about you and like what got you where you are now. Like how to keep it brief, but what age were you when you started playing, and what was the motivation behind starting this Instagram account?
Right. Okay, cool. So, and I will try and keep it brief, because like I do, you know, all those videos that I post where I don't use my voice, well, the voice has to come out somewhere. So if I talk too much, put your hands up, clap,
No.
spin around, tap yourself on the head twice, and I'll keep quiet, okay? But you have
I'm
to
like,
get it
great.
all in that order.
Bring back the voice. I was like, why you're not talking anymore?
No, do you know what? Genuinely, before I answer your question, genuinely, the reason that I actually don't do that, the reason that I don't speak in the videos, is because I couldn't be bothered setting up another microphone and then having to do even more editing just to cut the voice out when the information I was conveying was so brief that it didn't require my voice to explain it. So it was kind of, I'm very much a person that I try to maximize the output of any situation whilst minimizing the input without cutting any corners in terms of like quality and delivery and stuff. And so I just genuinely couldn't be bothered. Yeah. But you know, I do really like to talk. So basically, like, you must tell me to keep quiet if I talk too much. But basically what happened was, right, I started drumming when I was 15, right? Genuinely a proper late bloomer. And I never really had any lessons as well. I started, I think, like, I had a few lessons in school, I think maybe when I was about 13, 14. And it was like when a peripatetic teacher would come in and they would offer a few lessons for a term. I did that for a little bit and I never really took it further. But I was good at it straight away. And I didn't have to think about it. I just sat down and I could do stuff without trying. And so it felt good. And so I wanted to carry on. And by that age, I was already into music. So I didn't get into drums till I was about 14, 15, but I got into music when I was about 11, and I was heavily into music. More so than I am now, way more so than I am now. And I had a friend who started in the last year of primary school that I was at, and I was the guy that was randomly chosen by the teacher, probably just because I'm a nice guy and I've got a smiley face. She's like, oh, Stuart's a really nice student. We'll get him to show the new lad round. So I showed the new guy around our school, who came from a different school, and this guy turned out to be like one of my closest friends from that point, and he is still now at the age of 36, like however many years later. I can't be bothered doing the maths, but basically, happened, right? We wanted to just rock. We just wanted to play in bands. So we went in his garage and we didn't have a clue what we were doing. We started playing, and then it basically just progressed to a point where we were in a band when we were 16. Didn't really have many lessons. We just kind of made our own rules up. There was very much like a DIY punk ethic about what we were doing, but the music was like way heavier than that. We were into some seriously disgusting music, but we loved it. And so we just carried on. So we basically, that was how I got into drumming. And by that time, I knew I was into it. I knew that was it for life. But by that time, teaching wasn't even on the table. It wasn't even a thing. I actually left high school and started a job at the local council, like a remedial office job. And I did it for 7 years alongside being in the band, and I absolutely hated it. Really, really hated it. Like, and I mean, the last few years, and this was only 7 years that I was working there, but for the last few years, I have no shame in admitting that I was physically in tears almost every single day walking into the office, just thinking, this isn't my life. Why am I doing this? And so it was terrible. It was rubbish. But then I just decided I needed to get out. So there was a music school that was around the corner, and I had a contact at this music school because I think one of the guys that was one of the directors was friends with my parents at the time. And before he opened this music school, he knew I was a drummer. And so at a party at my mum and dad's house one night when he was there, he collared me and said, why don't you come and work for our music school? Because he knew I could play the drums. And I said to him, nah, you're all right, mate. I'm all right just rocking out in my band. I really don't want to teach. What? Could be like playing gigs and like playing blast beats at 150 beats per minute. Why do I want to teach? I'll be daft. And then about 2 years later, that was when I thought, you know what? I probably should have done that. And so I got in touch with him, and an opportunity arose, and I walked into it, and I was there for 13 years then. And that was it. So I was there at this music school, and I did I've not got any qualifications for teaching. The only drumming qualifications I've got were just like the grades 4, 6, and 8 rock school ones, dead bog standard. So I've got no teaching qualifications whatsoever. I failed college. I was working at the music school before I could even read music, and I had to learn all that and just did it on the job. It was just kind of a sink or swim kind of situation. And I'm a really, really self-conscious person as well. So for the first few years of working there, it was really, really, really intense, and it felt really, really, really hard. But like a day just came, and it was just it was like something just happened, and I just kind of got that confidence. I think it was just because I stuck it out for that long. I just stuck it out and didn't question it. I just, like, it wasn't an option to not work there at that point. So I just carried on. And through battling through that, I learned loads. And I started to realise that I had this natural ability to communicate to people and have them understand in a different way than they'd previously heard about the thing that I was talking of. And it made me feel really good. Just really good, because like I hated the job at the council for so much because I was a number and I was just crunching numbers and whatnot. But when I started to teach, I could see week after week, day after day even, I could see the impact that I was having on an actual real life person. And it just felt so good. I just thought, this is it. This is what I want to do. I want to spend my life helping people and making them feel this good. And this is why I'm not that bothered about I'm not a purist. You could like learn whatever you want for whatever reason, so long as you enjoy what you're doing and you're happy doing it and you feel like you're making progress, then I'll help to guide them. So that was pretty much like my teaching. That's pretty much how the teaching came about. I'm here at home doing the one-to-one teaching because there was there came a natural end to my time with that music school. And I basically started to realise they were doing they're a great music school and they're a cool bunch of people, but I started to realise that I wasn't being treated how I should have. I deserved to be treated a little bit better, I think, as an employee. So I decided to leave that company and start on my own. So me and my girlfriend got a house. We already lived at a house. We sold that one and got this one that had a garage on it. And this is the room I'm sat in now. And this is just literally a garage in my back garden that me and my dad, we haven't no clue what we were doing whatsoever. Like, really didn't. And I'm so bad at DIY. And I had some equity from the sale of the property, and I took it so that I could do this and convert it into a soundproof room. So it's literally just a brick garage that had a door on it and windows, and we did the full job on it and turned it into a studio. So now I work in my back garden in this room, and it's the room that you see on all of the videos. That is just my garage in my back garden. But I started to realise then, oh my God, 13 years I've been working at this music school and now I'm on my own. I was helping people more than I ever even thought possible. It was crazy because at that music school, I was teaching a group of 6 drummers at the same time, every single lesson. They all had a V-kit. There was 6 of them in the room, and it was all controlled by a PA at the front. So I'd be listening to individuals, turning one up, keeping the other ones practicing, turn them down. Turn that one up, listen to them. Different part of the lesson, we'll play a song together, we'll do an improvisation exercise. And I think that stressful daily situation, combined with other teachers that worked at the music school not tidying up after themselves, and I'm proper OCD, so I need my working space to be exactly as I want it. So basically I kept calm, I carried on, and for 13 years that basically acted as a catalyst to being as relaxed as I am now when I'm working. I know I don't seem relaxed. I seem like I'm like a massive cokehead with the amount that I'm speaking like this. But honestly, everyone says that when they meet me. But I'm not, apart from those 2 swigs of wine I've had. I'm so sober. I just get excited about things really, really easily. And so that's where we're here. So that's why we're here. That was literally that was a fast track through my life as a drummer, I suppose. Playing in bands as well. Yeah. Pantera. Oh, everyone likes a bit of Pantera, right? Maybe metal. Yeah. I'm a big metal fan. Yeah. And I was right, yeah. So I was in a Pantera tribute band as well for a number of years, and that was so much fun. I used to be called. My persona in the Pantera tribute band was Skinny Paul. That's what my name was in the band. It was Skinny Paul.
Yeah.
How long have you been flying solo now as a drum teacher?
Just over a year. Not the best time to get started. But you know, it's one of those. It's another cliche. I'm going to throw another cliche at you now, but it's one of those, innit? Where if you can get through this, you can get through anything. It's one of them. It's one of them, innit? Like, honestly, I think it was the music school I worked at, I've just described the situation where there were 6 kits and a PA and whatnot, but we also used to go to primary schools in the area, so as well as being Stu the cool tattooed dude that teaches you drums in the evening, I was also I was Mr. Fagan with a tie and a shirt and a blazer, and I was in primary schools teaching 30 children at a time as well. So, like, that was like a completely different approach to it all. And frankly, when I started doing this myself, one of the deciding factors, as well as the other ones I described about the treatment and working for the business, it was that. I didn't want to start another year at primary schools. I loved the kids there and all the teachers were great and I loved the style of the tuition, but it was just too much of a stress with everything else that was going on. So that was a big decider. And so I stopped at the start of a school year. So I think it was like mid-September last year. September 2019. And so we've got just over a year, I suppose, and it's crazy because just a couple of months after it all kind of started, I started kicking off. We had to revert to teaching online and whatnot as well, and that was a big learning curve. That was a huge learning curve. But it was ironic that it was a learning curve, because when I started the Instagram page 3.5 years ago, the incentive was not the incentive, rather, sorry, the impetus was because I wanted to reach a wider audience and teach people in different countries. So I wanted to be able to teach online. I wanted to be able to teach over Skype and whatnot. And that kind of, you know, even though like I might seem like I am very busy and I do a lot, I also kind of walk around in circles and procrastinate quite a lot as well. I have that personality type that basically means I am my own worst enemy. And so I have these really productive times, and I have these times when I'm not. And had it not been for the pandemic, I wouldn't have set up as much of an online service as I currently do. So it's ironic, because that's why I started the Instagram page, but it was actually the pandemic that really made me like take it seriously and make sure there was a permanent setup and whatnot to do that kind of teaching. And you know what? I find when you have the right student, and when you have a student that realizes what it takes to actually improve, it's less about the material that you're showing them and more about the it's more about the mindset that you're trying to encourage, and you can do that when you're speaking to someone online, of course, because it's just a conversation. I find that sometimes it got a little bit tricky at first, where with younger students, because you know, you have to kind of, they feed off an energy, and when they're in their own environment, they don't think the same as when they're in a, you know, like a learning kind of environment. Yeah. So I found that at first that was a little bit different, because I found that I started trying to deliver lessons online in the same way that I was delivering them in the studio, and it is so different, but very grateful, because had I started this and not had the option to do what I'm doing, that'll be it. I'll be gone. I probably wouldn't have this business anymore, because there hasn't been any gigs, has there? You know?
No. No, it's all learning, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask another question, Felipe. Is that all right?
Of course, go ahead. That's the whole point of what we do, ask questions.
So I guess I wanted to talk a little bit about, you know, your account, your Instagram, like growing, and did the growth of your account like impact, you know, you leaving those jobs? Was there like a moment where you're like, hang on a minute, I'm doing quite well, I'm gonna just go solo? Or was it just kind of, you know?
Do you know what? It was like, I think that let me see. I start. Do you know what? Actually, no, it didn't. No, I started the page like, oh my God, what is it? 2000? It's almost 4 years ago now. So let's say, yes, it's about 3.5 years ago. And I've only been doing it for a year here on my own. So at the time, I wasn't gearing up. It wasn't like a tactic. I wasn't trying to build this thing so that it could get to a point and then I could leave the music school and go, right, I've got this now and I'm going to take it with me. It was more just kind of something to do at first that was like, it was like trying to create a bit of an interactive CV, because I wanted in the future to get extra students as well as working at that music school. So there came a time when I started to realise that people were enjoying what I was doing, but it didn't directly impact my decision or cause the decision to actually go on my own. I think that was just something that happened because of how I felt at the music school, and I had like a light bulb moment that made me realise I can provide a better service and I can probably earn more money and reduce my stress at the same time. But I have to add that I am not motivated by money, so I didn't leave the music school thinking I can rake it in now because they're earning the money. I left there because I was stressed out, and I just thought I can earn more money and reduce my stress at the same time. It's that output input thing I was talking about before. It didn't make sense to stay at the school. But when my account started growing, it did make sense to continue making the effort to grow it, because at first I was just kind of doing it for a couple of extra students, and I started realizing that people really enjoyed what I was doing. And it actually gave me a sense of confidence because, as I said before, I'm really, really self-conscious. I actually am really self-conscious, and I have a touch of OCD and I have ADHD as well, and this is why I'm scatty at the best of times. But like, I feel like I've played it to my advantage, and I've turned it into something that's positive. But it started to, like, when I was getting the feedback, it started to give me the confidence that felt really good, because this confidence allowed me to deliver the material I was teaching in an even better way than before. And it basically just it got to a point where I was like, okay, this is something that people are enjoying, so maybe now I'll put more effort into trying to do something with it. At first, I was just, I think for 2 years, every single Thursday was my one day off of a week. I worked 6 days a week at that time, and every single Thursday I used to go to my friend's house, who also has a soundproof garage, and that was where I started this Instagram page. And when I started to do it, I didn't know anything about video production, editing. I didn't know anything about lighting. I didn't know anything about recording drums or mixing, and everything I have learned since the start of that Instagram page. So I started realizing it was doing so much more for me than I ever even planned to and anticipated. And then it got to a point where I don't know what happened, Kira. I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden, I just started getting like 200 followers a day, every single day, for about I don't know, like, it had come in peaks and troughs for like 2-3 months at a time, and then it'd dip off, and then it'd go up again, and I don't know why. Like, I think it's because when I plan something, I try to plan it meticulously. So I did loads of research, and so I did loads of research on how to best promote yourself, but it was all genuine. It wasn't like so I'd use certain hashtags. They really helped, but I wasn't like spamming, and it wasn't like I never paid for sponsored posts and all that kind of stuff. It was just, I did loads of research. I watched loads of videos. I chatted to a few people who were doing the same thing as me, and I realized that giving someone value for free was just a ridiculously important thing in terms of growing a page. Before that, my content was throwaway. My content was for me before that. And then when I started to realize the impact it was having on other people, I started creating content for other people then. And so when I'm doing these fill posts and stuff like that, I mean, it's not for me. I can play the fill. I can make it up in my head. It doesn't matter. I'm doing it for other people so that they can learn it, and so that they can have, hopefully, as much fun as I have when I'm playing the drums. Yeah. What was really interesting was the bad feedback probably had a better, more positive effect than the good feedback. Because of course, I get loads of bad feedback on there, and I'm very expressionate, and I pull my faces, and I don't think about it when I play. But people used to hate that. People used to tell me all the time I'm acting. People used to say, "Why are you acting like an idiot? Why are you?" Oh. Why, yeah, and there's an element of performing there. There's an element of it, but We're musicians. Do we perform? Yeah, of course we do. So like, why did someone have such a problem with me showing that I enjoyed myself? But I used to get really upset about it, and then it came to a point where I thought, I've got a really good opportunity to make other people that probably experience this same thing actually feel good about it. So I used to be really subtle. If you go on my posts and you look at comments, you will see every now and again there's a negative comment, and what I always try to do is just kill them with kindness.
Yeah.
I'm either in two moods. I'll either kill someone with kindness, and I will address everything they've said and make it so that there's nothing that they can respond to or argue, or I'll be in that mood and I'll be a little bit sarky and I'll throw it to them, but I still won't be nasty or mean, but I'm doing it because I know that people read comments, and that'll probably make them feel a little bit better about maybe similar things in their own life that they're experiencing. And so, and yeah, I just kind of like, it got to a point where the page was almost, it was almost less about drumming and more just about like not taking life so seriously, through the medium of drumming kind of thing. But I'm really enjoying it. Like, I'm really enjoying it. And through it, I've been able to like make friends as well and do things like this and establish contacts with companies that I can help and that can help me, and it's just really nice. It's just cool. It just feels really nice.
It is. Time for the last question.
I got so many, man. I've got so many.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's because I just keep talking.
But that's what we want, people who talk.
Yeah.
Maybe this is one question. Maybe it's more than one. We'll see. But with a bigger audience, did you feel any more pressure on what you put out there as your content? A. And then come back to me.
No. No pressure.
Amazing.
Nope.
B now, B.
Because I used to post videos that were sloppy, that I was making mistakes in anyway. If I practiced the hell out of them, I could play them with no mistakes. But I'm not trying to massage my ego by proving to the world how amazing a drummer I am. I know I'm not the best drummer in the world. I'm all right, but I know I'm not dead good. So no pressure, because what I delivered was about honesty. So there was no pressure. It didn't matter. I could post what I want.
Love it.
It didn't matter.
B.
Love that. Love it so much. It's like, yes.
Yeah.
B, how do you keep like inspired for each post? Like, you know, is it ever like, I've got a post today, what do I do? Because you do so much, you know, you've got all these amazing ideas. Do you ever think, what am I going to do today? How do you keep that fresh?
Yep. Well, I post when I want to post, and I don't post when I don't want to post. So it's I just if I get an idea and I want to post, I will post it. And if I don't, I suppose, yeah. I used to kind of feel that, but then it got to a point, I suppose, where I was that, like, this confidence that I explained before, this confidence, it just kind of made me realize that, you know, like, at first you're trying so hard to do something good and productive with your time. So if you make the decision with your time to grow a page, of course you want it to grow, and of course you're going to do everything you can to grow it as quick as possible, because that's just efficient. So that's what I was trying to do. But it's like, I don't think that I don't think. What can you repeat, B? I've completely forgotten.
No, you answered it, because you were basically saying you post when you're inspired. That's it. There's no.
So yeah,
nothing else. It's just like, when I do, I do.
No.
You've got that confidence to be like, I don't have to post all the time. I just post when I want.
Yeah. I think that was what it was. I think that if I feel really excited about something, I'll want to post it. But quite early on, I realised that just because I was mega excited about something that I'd done and thought it was really good, it had absolutely no impact on what everybody else thought as well. And that was part of the transition from me posting for me to me posting for other people. You can spend so much time doing something. In fact, you know what? It's just come back to me. I'll tell you what happened. I was posting for me and putting so much effort into it, and then one day I got that urge that was almost like an addiction, where I was like, oh, I really need to post a video today. I've not done it. And I thought, this isn't good. I shouldn't be thinking like that. So what I did was I experimented and I recorded in work with like a ridiculously low budget kind of clip. So no lights, no cameras, no mixing. It was an electric kit coming through a PA on the other side of the room that my phone, microphone and camera was picking up. And I thought, I'm just going to record like, not stupid, but, you know, like, it was a silly little thing. The material was cool, but in my head, I'm thinking, this is so far from what I normally do that this is stupid. Let's just see what happens. So I just kind of did it, and that post went massive. and because I was teaching someone something from it. I was teaching a little pattern or something and what I like. And it made me think, oh my God, I don't have to make the effort that I thought I had to make to do what I'm trying to do. It's about the delivery, I think, and it's about the personality and stuff like that. It's so not about the material. It's about like people feeling like they can resonate with the person behind the screen and feel like they're a real person. Yeah. And so yeah, I think I can safely say that there was a transition between you know, feeling what you described in the question you asked and me answering by saying, no, I think I don't really feel that. I feel I have the confidence to post what I want when I want, but it wasn't always like that. You know, it kind of did develop. So I can understand why that's such like a big thing for people. Like, a lot of people think that. Like, I get questions like that all the time. People send me questions like that and asking me, what do you do? How did you grow your page? How did you do this? How did you do that? And it's like, you feel like it's a little bit of a cop-out when you just respond and you just like, I just kind of played some drums and did what I was doing. You feel like it's a bit of a cop-out. It's a bit of a cop-out to say that, but that's, you know what I mean? I suppose that's kind of what happened, yeah.
And I think you just hit the nail on the head, because you changed your approach from posting for yourself and posting to like serve, like, in a way, others and help.
Well, if you post only to yourself, only yourself is going to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And I mean, like, you know, like, let's make no mistake about this. Anybody that posts on social media, full stop, wants some attention. They're not attention seekers. They're not narcissists. But anybody who has a social media account wants people to engage with that account. I don't care whether it's your best friend and your family on Facebook or whether it's strangers on Instagram. If you have a social media page, you want people to interact with you. Yeah. And
that's the whole purpose.
Of course. So that was it. I was posting for me, and it was like, it was that at first was that like, I didn't realize it, but that was kind of like an ego massaging thing. I didn't realize it at the time, but I suppose it had to have been, because I started and I had an incentive and I wanted to grow it, but then I realized a better way to do it, and it felt better. It just feels nice. It's nice getting a present off someone at Christmas, but it feels nicer when you give a present, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? Oh, it's always when they open it up. And
Debatable.
Oh, thank you so. Yeah, yeah, I suppose. Depending on the gift.
That's it. No, you're right. I just think it's. Oh, nearly spilled coffee all over the laptop. But yeah.
Oh!
Okay, guys.
Thank you.
Up.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Stu. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me. I've really, really enjoyed myself, and it will be awesome to have a chat with you both again sometime.
Yes, we will. We will.